Hi there. This is going to be a short video on my second Crender 6 Pro unit. If you saw my other video, you might have seen how I took an S5, Reality CR10 S5, and changed it, giving it more height, changing the motherboard, touchscreen, and other parts. It was a project. This is my second one. And the first one I had to make the controller box from scratch, buying all the terminals, connectors, deviation plugs. In this case, I'm using the same one for my second unit, so it's not that hard. Still, there's a lot of work into this. I want to show you one of the first things I installed here is the touchscreen from Victory Tech. See if I could focus on this. Here it is. It is the TFT, if you can see that here. The TFT 35E3V3. This is a perfect fit for the Ender 5, Ender 5 Pro, Ender 5, and in this particular case I'm using it in my box. The only downside is, if you notice here, the USB is very close to this part and the SD slot as well. I've seen some modify their box, cutting it up here. I'm not doing that. For now, I'm just going to use this as a simulator for the original screen, and the firmware that's installed, I hope it's the same one as my others, so I don't have to take this out and update the firmware of the SD card. If I need to, it's fine. I just have to open the box again, take it out. It's a bit of a hassle, but nothing impossible. So I installed this touchscreen on this box. This here is just a cable. I just tied it with some tape, electrical tape, and one goes here on the E1 slot, and this one goes on the far end, which is the E3. So is it E3 or EXP3? Sorry, EXP3 here and EXP1 here, which is the only one. And this is for the other part of the touchscreen. This is from both. There's two sockets. The one on the top, which is an RS something, 232 I think. I might be wrong on that, so don't quote me. Something else that I placed new on this board, or in this box, is the fan. The original fan makes a lot of noise, so I installed this fan. This fan is, I'm looking here, it's a Silent 5 FNSX05-40, or in other words, another way to say it's a 50 by 50 millimeters by 15 millimeters across. It's silent, it's good. The way the fan is mounted, if you see the tips here of the blade, it will take the air from this side and push it over the motherboard. We want that air to circulate from here on to this. These chips here, the drivers, will have their little cool, let me see if I can find that. There you go. The heat sink. They'll have those on top eventually, and they'll help keep the drivers cool. I also installed this board, which is a Mini E3 version 2 board. The difference of the version 1, besides having more capacity to dissipate heat, you also have two Z's. Okay, so it has the XY, one for Z, the other Z, and the extruder. This board is not completely installed yet. Physically it's mounted, but it's not completely installed. And it's a perfect fit for this. It's a perfect fit for the Ender 5. It is also a perfect fit for the Ender 5 Plus, and it's a perfect fit for the Ender 3. So I've been using these boards quite a lot, as much as I can, of course. On the other far side here, you see that round fan. That's a Noctua fan. The Noctua fan is a NF8420. So it's 20 millimeters, and 4 must be, I don't know, maybe it's 40, 20. I forget these numbers. I know these things, but I haven't written here. Sorry for the jiggling here. That's my information. If I don't keep this documented, I forget. Now, on both fans, I made a quick modification. If you notice here, this here is actually flush. The way this fan is mounted and the way this bracket was made, there's actually a gap. If I'm pulling the air this way, it gets into here. I want all that air to come out. With a gap there, well, part of the air might come through this gap, but why have it that way? I just want it through here. So I drilled the holes here so they could be similar to the ones on the other side, so that way this is flush mount. The same thing happened here. You can't really appreciate it, but perhaps if I'm lucky enough I can actually point. This is actually flush to this part here. It doesn't look like it, but it is flush. And I did the same thing. I drilled the holes, but on this side you can actually see there's a step there. Right, that part there is a step. Now in this case the screw goes in, but if it was the other way around, it'd be flush mount to the case. So in this case I have that flush mount, so that way all the air could get out. There's a tiny gap, and that's basically the rubber feet, the isolators, so the vibration doesn't go to the box. Which these Noctua fans are really nice. If you want a fan 12 volts, get an Noctua. This one I couldn't find this side in Noctua. Been looking for a while. Maybe they don't sell it, and I'm really looking forward for them to do the other 24 volts. All right, where's my focus here? There you go. So in a nutshell, this is what I have so far on the box. There will be a new power supply, Meanwell power supply, 300 watts if I recall correctly. I might go crazy and place a 500 watts, I don't know, but I don't need that much. This plug here I'm going to cover because I don't need to set this back and forth. And the stickers I might leave just because it might look cool and remind me of what this was initially. And all this wiring is for the power supply and for the board and other things. So there you have it. So if anyone's interested in seeing my notes here, let me put this up here quickly. This is just a note. I'll just show you, and you could actually read later on. It says fan installation. I use this Noctua fan, the Noctua NF-A4x20 FLX, and then the modification I made so it can be flush with the case. The fan to cool down the drivers and the motherboard is the BLTouch 5. Sorry for the focus. FN. There we go. It's a 50 by 50 by 15 millimeters, and I did the same modification. Then if anyone interested to know how this goes, those three, Noctua and this board, this fan, the connector, if you have the shiny connectors facing you and the wires coming down, that's the way you see this. This one here is ground, the middle one is power, and the other one is just a signal, which doesn't apply for either of both fans. Okay, so that one you will just leave open. You wouldn't connect that. But I haven't connected this to the board yet. I have to make sure I connect in the right spot. And that's it. I have more notes here because I am doing this, documenting my steps as I move along. So there you have it. If you're planning on doing this, again, this is the BLTouch motherboard and the BLTouch touchscreen. You can get them in combo, sometimes you get them separate. And I am replacing the fans. Fans are quote unquote relatively cheap, and they make a huge difference in sound. Of course, if you're using the original box, you might have already swapped the fans. They don't last long. And that is it for now. So I have some other stuff here, but that's nothing compared to what's going inside of this box. I have stepper motor cables that I need to route in. They're new, and they've been changed to make sure that I keep consistency with the stepper motors that I'm going to be using, which is the original stepper motor that came with the machine. Alright, well, enjoy. Hope this helps out. If you have any questions, feel free. If you know anything I have not said or I said something wrong, let me know immediately. I always like to be corrected when I'm wrong. Alright, have a great one. Bye.